g'day, Mick again. Alright, we're going to have a talk about double bars. So if you keep finches, you're probably well familiar with a double bar. In Australia it's known only as a double bar. Overseas it's known as the Owl Finch and the banded finch and a couple of other names, but it's always been known as just the double bar finch in Australia. Very popular aviary bird because it's quite hardy. Its range is right through the east coast of Australia and through the top Northern Territory. It's got a huge range and it's a tough little bird. It's reasonably close to the coast, but then it really does like the semi-dry sort of area. If you live on the east coast of Australia, you know the double bar finch. It's encroached right into backyards and parklands. It's quite happy living around people. It spreads in probably a few hundred K, I reckon, off the coast inland. But generally, the white rump double bar, there's two races. The white rump, it starts just below, at the southern New South Wales, just above Victoria, right along the coast, right through Queensland, right through to the top of the Cape, and sort of right up to the Northern Territory border. Maybe they cross the border a little bit lower in the range. The black rump race, the population meets with the white rump race about here, and actually where those two races meet, there's a hybrid population. You'll have black rumps with some white feathers in it and so forth. But then from there onwards, pretty much sort of in a band from that point, right through to the west coast, right through Western Australia, and right through the Northern Territory. The black rump race lives there. So the black rump race, this end of Australia, north and west. The white rump race, the total east coast. Brief description: the male has got a white face with a black ring around it that gives it the owl look. It's got a light brown back and crown with some thin, darker brown barring on it. That brown gets darker towards the back, and then you've got almost towards black, and there's a heap of little white spots. The tail's sort of pretty much black. It's got a white rump, depending on whether it's the east coast or the northern race. Sexing them can be tricky. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, this, and this. It's not black and white, haha, because that's what they are. But the female, I have found, yes, those two bars are a little bit thinner, but I found the best way is if the bird's just a little bit duller, a bit more of a cream. The male, his white is bright white, whereas the hen is like a slight off-white, but it varies. I've seen males that are just pitiful compared to some hens. You wouldn't know. So I found the most sure way, apart from DNA testing, is cut your birds up, separate them and put them in small cages so they can't see each other, and the males will sing. They'll give them away straight away. The hens will call, the males will sing, and you're like, all right, male, male, female, female, male. It's that easy. Very easy to breed, very popular because they are so hardy. Free breeder. They'll pretty much nest anywhere. They're not fussy. Their nest that they build is a borderline joke, the effort they put in. Some nests I just look at and I think, how is that holding together? But they still raise young out of it. Some nests are better than others, but they don't even try to hide their nest. It's right in your face. But anyway, they're happy with that. So feeding them, like the Australian sort of semi-arid finches, dry seed. They very much appreciate the half-ripe seeds. They'll hang off the grasses like all the other finches. They've got no problem hanging out in the long grasses and feeding on seed heads. But like I said, they'll feed on the ground as well because most of the year that's all that's available is dry seed on the ground they've got to look for. Live food, very much appreciated. They'll breed on just seed, and half-ripe seed and seed, but they'll do much better if you've got live food. And they'll take any live food. They love mealworms and white ants. They're not overly fussy, and if you give them live food, you'll do all right. I found some of my males can be real bullies in the aviary, so look, at the end of the day, they do great as a small colony because they're very gregarious little finch. They're always in a group, and you'll even have breeding colonies where nests will only be meters apart. Sort of at the end of the wet season, I found about June, July onwards, your double bars will breed. I've noticed that here, and I've noticed that with the ones I have in the aviary. So I think they sort of depend on the drier habitat to thrive. You can easily introduce a male and a female, and there's a pretty good chance they'll get along just fine. If you've kept zebra finches, they're very similar, in their behaviour, and You know, their calls, even their courtship is very similar. You know, it's not a great affair. There's a lot of singing, a lot of beak wiping with a double bar, a bit like the zebra finch, probably more than the zebra finch in the beak wiping. So it's become an important part of their courtship. He'll sing and sing and sing and wipe his beak. You know, and when the female thinks he's done a good enough job, she'll sort of squat and quiver her tail, and that's good enough for him, and he gets the job done pretty quick after that. They're great parents. Mine just fledged 3 young, and I was worried about them. They left the nest a bit early, but I didn't have to worry. The parents did a great job, fed them all, and now they're all flying around. So I don't really want them in with my mixed collection because the males can be tyrants. They hold a grudge. I've had them, you know, harass a mast finch until it's exhausted and sitting on the ground panting, which I don't like that sort of behaviour. So ideally, if you're going to have them in a colony, probably on their own or with some other, maybe even some doves or small parrots or other larger finches that can take care of themselves. Because the other birds, the double bars, they can be quite aggressive. Not all of them, but my males, for some reason, they become tyrants. Enjoy the double bar finch. If you can get some, do it. They'll do all right. They do really well in a small colony, so you get a few pairs. But like I said, they're not fussy in their mates. They'll pair off quickly with other birds, and they do great in a colony if the aviary's big enough. But yeah, they can be bullies and they can be a bit disruptive. So thanks again. So we've got more videos coming. I just did a quick short. We've got plenty of footage, so I thought I'd just throw this in. But you know, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for your support, and we're going to just keep these coming. Thanks.